Water is one of the critical resources that the city should provide, and that's one of the things that we recognize, that we have a duty to our citizens to provide drinkable, safe water. Over the last year and a half, we've really taken a deep dive, and we know that our capital improvement projects of new water tanks, new water expansion, operation and maintenance, replacement of items, we have to look at how we're going to fund those. If we don't make a change in the next year or so, we are going to be very financially impacted. It's not all fleshed out yet, the percentages, the fees, or anything. We'll come back in future meetings, we'll have public hearings, but it is going to increase your water rate.
Welcome to Herrimanology,
the official podcast to keep up with Herriman City.
We'll take you inside the city, explore the latest news and updates, show you how your government operates, and discuss the issues that affect us all. Now, here are your hosts talking all things Herriman on Herrimanology.
All right, welcome to Herrimanology. It is Thursday, February 29th, and we are basking in all the glory that is Leap Day.
Yes, that's every 4 years, right? Yeah, spring starts tomorrow officially, is that right?
In my mind, it does.
Yep, all right.
March is 1st. Spring. I'm John LaFollette, Communications Manager for Herriman City, alongside Councilmember Teddy Hodges from District 2. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Beautiful morning.
Kind of a late night last night from the council meeting.
Yeah, we ran a little bit longer than normal. A lot of topics to talk about last night, and it was pretty fun.
It's probably the most significant one in most residents' minds will be a discussion about the water rates. Over the past year or so, Herriman has been working with a consultant, Bowen Collins, who we've worked with a lot in the past, to go over our water fees and compare revenues to future expenses. And what came out of that discussion? What was the presentation about?
Yeah, so Bowen Collins is a very good firm that we've worked with on multiple occasions. They have brought, I mean, we knew that we were running a deficiency in that department, which is not great. Water is one of the critical resources that the city should provide. Yeah. And that's one of the things that we recognize, that we have a duty to our citizens to provide drinkable, safe water. Our infrastructure is not that old, but we do have some old pipes in some areas that we need to replace. We're looking at how far we're expanding our culinary water due to our secondary water. Over the last year and a half, we've really taken a deep dive, and Bowen Collins came back. We knew our rates were low. It was a very complicated system, not only for us, but the residents and our staff to apply. So we're simplifying that. And we're actually making I think it's a 10 or 15 year plan we have now that will come back in future meetings. We'll have public hearings, we'll have other things, but it is going to increase your water rate. So you are going to be paying a little bit more for that water, but we are getting better water quality over any standard that the EPA or the government puts on us. So,
and to kind of paint a picture, as part of the water rate study, they are projecting revenues and obligated expenses over the next 10 or so years, and the revenues at the rates that the city charges are not going to keep up with the expenses over time. So something has to be done. You mentioned the likely water fee increases.
Yeah, so we've looked at several different ways to fund this, and we know that our capital improvement projects of new water tanks, new water expansion, operation and maintenance, replacement of items, isn't just created in a small vacuum or envelope of certain areas, but as a city-wide, we have to look at how we're going to fund those. And being that we ran in a deficit for the last 5-6 years, and we're actually coming to the tail end of that, where if we don't make a change in the next year or so, we are going to be very financially impacted and probably not be able to supply water, which we can't do. So we've looked at bonding, we've looked at municipal bonds, water bonds, all kinds of different funding mechanisms, and I think we're coming up with the best solution. And again, it's not all fleshed out yet, the percentages, the fees, or anything, and that's all going to come back to future meetings.
Yeah, I texted my wife during the discussion just saying, hey, our water rates are probably going to go up at some point, and she said, what?
Yeah.
How much? And I think that's a sentiment a lot of residents are going to have, and like you said, we don't know when or exactly how much is going to work out, but I think it's probably fair to say rates will increase at some point by some amount.
Yeah, and as the council, we all live in the city. We're all part of this, right? And we're very conscious that some people will be like, well, it's $5 a month. It's a cup of coffee a month. It's this or that. It's significant. If it's $1.50 a month, $10 a year, that's a significant value, especially at this time where everything has gone up, where we just had a recent rate increase on public safety. Public safety is another thing we need to provide for our citizens. Water is one of those things. Good roads are one of those things. And we've had a lot of influx of growth and not a lot of fund balances to actually overpass those rough years, and we've had a couple of rough years.
Yeah. So more to come on that, but that was a significant item. That's the first time I think residents have really seen anything significant, or at least had the opportunity to. We'll be publishing more information as it becomes available in the coming months. Another discussion in the work meeting last night was one that's come up a few times, especially in the Planning Commission, about what we're calling accessory vehicles, an ordinance, maybe a change or update, talking about RV storage on your residential property or trailers. That was probably a 45-minute discussion. What were some of the main points of that?
So this is something that's in Title 10. Title 10 is a big section in our city ordinances. Last night we talked about trailer and accessory parking. So most of it's like RVs, campers, boats, any other utility trailers, stuff like that. Where they're still working on the actual definition of what that is, but it's trying to figure out where our role in government is to say how many trailers are allowed on your lot. We've had some issues come up. Some lots have multiple trailers parked on them. Some were using them for a business entity where they're renting or leasing out property, and some of those sites have become an issue for their neighbors and for some life safety stuff. So we're trying to figure out what that looks like, how much enforcement, how much involvement we want in your life, in your lot, saying you can have X amount of trailers on your property, and if it's a half acre, quarter acre, larger, whatever that is, and there wasn't a good concise. It's going to come back. It's a big ordinance, and we're trying to figure out what that looks like. So no decision or anything was made last night. Again, that was in work session, so no decision can be made in that area. We realize there's a big difference between a residential lot and an agricultural lot, where we still have some. And having 5 trailers on an agricultural lot, not an issue most of the time. But having 5 trailers on a 3rd acre lot could be an issue. So we definitely want to have a great looking city. We want to have a upkept city. Weeds, feral pets, whatever it may be, rodents, all that stuff can be exacerbated in those situations where you have some older camp trailers or abandoned vehicles, or what that may look like. And so we're just trying to help that with clean up that ordinance.
There were a few recognitions that the city council did last night, 3, which is more than normal, even though that these come up fairly regularly. First was a community member by the name of John Titus, who what was he recognized for, and why was he there?
So John has been pretty influential in one of our middle schools. He has gone in. He's retired. He's worked in the IT sector in I believe it's coding and other items like that. He is a wealth of knowledge, and he has lit some fires and turned some young minds onto the amazing ability of IT and that opportunity. He's gone in, I believe, almost daily to where he's gone into these classrooms and helped these young students. He is such a humble guy. Like he just smiled and waved, and he's like, I don't know why I'm here. I'm just doing what I'm doing, right? And so it's awesome to see that. So,
and there are 4 young men who were recognized on a news broadcast, and of course here in the city council meeting for performing some service during a snowstorm.
Yeah, when you. Again, with the youth in this community, they are amazing. They see something, they do something. And so these 4 young individuals, they were getting prepared for some fun, going sledding on a local hill just behind their house, and they noticed that there were some vehicles that were having some struggles. And this is so this area iced up, and they saw these vehicles getting stuck, and they said, hey, we're already geared up, guys. Let's go have some fun. And I'm sure they had fun doing it, and they pushed up several cars, and this isn't their first time doing it. This is something they've done a couple times. And so they saw that opportunity to show service, and they were between 15 and 18 years old, 4 of them, and they're friends and brothers, and they just knocked it out of the park again. These wonderful individuals of our community, and they didn't have to do this, and that's what's nice about that is they take that extra step.
And finally, essay contest winners for the DARE program came in.
Yeah. And if you guys haven't noticed, but the DARE program's shifted a little bit. It's a little different. It's just not anti-drugs. It's actually about saying no to drugs still, but making decisions and proper ways to get through life, through anxiety, through any other issues that they're having, right? And our DARE officers are amazing. And these kids, I get the privilege to go to DARE graduation and hear all the essays on the top winners, but some of these essays, the ones we recognized last night, are the first semesters from our elementary schools, and there's some really, really touching stories and really awesome things that they learned through DARE that they applied to their lives. And these kids don't know it, but they're setting up for a really good future on some of these programs. And seeing those kids there and then those parents there are just awesome. And anytime we can fill that galley with some excitement, it makes our meetings go a lot funner.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One of the voting items was for the Blackridge Reservoir parking fee. And this is something we've gone through in a pretty good amount of detail with Councilmember Orn and to some extent with Mayor Palmer. So we won't get in all the weeds here, but maybe just summarize what that was and maybe what else is coming up.
We did vote to have that fee assessed. We kind of have a beautiful amenity, but we have some issues. Parking is one of them. We've noticed that we've implemented different strategies throughout the process, parking zones and parking enforcement, and now it's come down to where we're doing a fee on weekends and holidays where we have the high traffic, high volume. Hopefully that will help as another tool we can use to enforce that and receive some of the funds to help increase that area and beautify that area as the process goes on.
So we have more details on the Blackridge Reservoir situation, if you will, on harriman.org/Blackridge Reservoir. We've been putting information out. We'll continue to, but that was the next step in the council's approach to try to address some of these issues in 2024. And one more item from the meeting that's been a topic of discussion for the last, 2 months, the legislative session. What were some of the items that you discussed last night? Some of the kind of the main key takeaways from this session that ends, I believe, tomorrow.
One of the big topics is about how much the state is mandating or governance over our own rules and laws that should be municipality things, such as building inspections or zoning, and how much authority the state wants rather than your local government. And that's a couple of those big topics we're trying to make sure that government is best served when it's closer to the people. And so when we find a bill or something that takes some of those rights and restricts us from doing what we think we should do for our own city, and that's where we get a little bent out of shape and try to put our effort towards that. So SB 185 came out. We're not sure where it sits this morning, but we're paying close attention to it. It may be tabled. What that does is it takes the building inspection away from the cities on certain situations. It's not all encompassing, but if we don't do certain things or if we don't do fast enough, then they have the right to find a third-party inspector, which could raise quite a few concerns.
And 2 events coming up in the next couple of weeks. First, the monthly senior activity in this case is a class about fraud prevention.
Yeah, so our police department has done a great job about educating our seniors. Fraud is not just that simple email back when we were like, forward this email, or hey, we need you to do XYZ, go to get a gift card, or your so-and-so needs some help, or hey, wire me some money, right? It's gotten pretty sophisticated, especially with the technology and AI. So if you don't know all the ins and outs or you're having some issues, come to that fraud class. It's on the 7th here at 10 a.m. at the community room. But our senior events here are awesome. I know that in the past we've done senior bingo and senior art night, and it's exciting. And just come out and have fun. It's a great Thursday morning. So,
and then on the 9th, that Saturday, a ribbon cutting for the Columbus Adult Education Center.
Yeah, I am super excited about this one. This one's it's gone quick. So it's the Columbus Education Center is an opportunity to help so many people in our community. They've come in, they've raised lots of money, they've had sponsorships and lots of volunteerism to revamp our old city hall. They're helping a lot of non-English speaking, and it's going to be a generational thing. And so it's not just a couple people. We are helping hundreds and hundreds of people throughout the next few generations. So
thank you, Councilmember Hodges, for joining and taking some time out this morning.
Awesome, thank you.
Even after a late night at the at the council meeting.
Perfect. Thank you, John. And this is a great podcast. Stay tuned. And the quick recaps are awesome. So I love it.
Okay, we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching and listening.